Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you back to my channel. My name is Andrew. I'm a travel blogger from right here in the Boston area. You can follow me on all the platforms at Globe Whisperer. That's my blogger name. I've traveled to about 50 different countries and been doing travel videos for about the past 5 years, through a good portion of them. Now, this is something I would definitely not trade for the world. I'm absolutely grateful to God to be able to have all of these experiences. However, it's not all fun and games, as most of you are probably aware. We all have our experiences that are either, mediocre or bad, or sometimes just downright scary, whether we choose to talk about them on our blogs or not. And today I'm here to talk to you about my single scariest travel experience in all my adventures throughout the world. So let's begin. The day was August 5th, 2017, and myself and a few Filipino friends were traveling through Indonesia. This particular day we were on Bali. We weren't supposed to be on Bali, we were actually supposed to be on Komodo, but due to a flight cancellation and just piss poor communication by the airline, we ended up spending a lot more time on Bali. What we ended up doing was actually renting scooters from a local shop in the town of Kuta, which is on the southern part of the island, very close to the airport. And basically we used that as our method of transportation throughout the island. Our plan was to kind of go upwards into the north to the Tenganugan waterfall, and then over towards the east part of the island to a temple called Pura Lempoyang, before going back to Ubud and also exploring some other Hindu temples. And I'm not gonna lie, this was fun to start. It very quickly felt like I was getting the hang of riding it. We took it all throughout it basically had the same freedom as renting a car, where you could go where you wanted. If something looked interesting, you could go check it out. And that's kind of when it started to get the best of us. We were on our way from the Tirtaganga Water Palace, which I absolutely recommend visiting, by the way, to this temple on the east end of the island called Pura Lempoyang. I had squeezed the left brake as I was trying to go around a hairpin turn. Remember, these are the slopes of the volcanoes, so they're very, very steep. And while the bike slowed down, it didn't slow down enough. And what ended up happening was, because it was such a sharp turn, I ended up veering off the side of the road, crashing my bike into, the brush, and then I just went absolutely flying down the embankment. It kind of felt like this.
Oh. As you wish.
Oh, my sweet Wesley, what have I done?
Ow. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
Gotta love Princess Bride. But yeah, that's basically what had happened. Was I felt my head just whack against some very hard surface. I'm pretty sure it was a tree. I basically kind of snapped out of it. I looked down, and my left shin was just covered in blood. And it was something like I had never seen before. What had happened was I had gashed my left shin. You can still see the scar there. It was a very, very deep cut. And I just remember, screaming for help as I was trying to climb up this very, very steep embankment to get out onto the road. I wasn't even worried about my bike that was also a fair portion of the way down there. And I remember just trying to grab onto really whatever I can, and for whatever the reason, I could not close my right hand. And I mean, it turned out my hand was broken. So here I am trying to get out of the brush with a hand that can't even grip something. Where are my travel companions in all this? Well, since they actually knew how to operate these scooters a lot better than I could, they were already at Port Limpoyak. So at this point, they're like, where the f is Andrew? I remember seeing this, local Balinese woman walking up the side of the road carrying bamboo. And, she of course stopped to help. She broke out her cell phone and she ended up calling some emergency services. There was actually a mother and son from Australia that were passing through the area. And I mean, this woman was an absolute godsend. She was able to hook me up with a bunch of gauze. She looked me in the eye and she said, oh, you're gonna need stitches. Now, mind you, I had never in my life been hospitalized for anything. I had never broken a bone. I had never needed stitches. My wisdom teeth, that doesn't count. Nothing ever. So this was very, very new to a lot of me and quite freaking scary. At that point, actually a couple staff members from Port Limpoyak ended up coming by in a pickup truck. And they had basically kind of, come to my rescue. Even though in retrospect, I mean, I would have survived, obviously. It's not like I would have bled out or anything. But in terms of keeping everything on track, they came to my rescue. They were able to actually go down, fish my bike out of the brush, and load it onto into the bed of their pickup truck. And then, I actually get to Port Limpoyak. Sure enough, my travel companions are right there waiting for me. And of course, as I expected, they're like, oh dear God, what happened? So right off the bat, I had honestly at this point felt like the vacation was over. These guys were so great. They were able to take me to a local Bali med, and it was here, in technically a developing country, although a touristy part of a developing country, that I'm experiencing basically my first ER visit. And you can imagine this is to experience this on vacation is quite a scary feeling. Being put on the stretcher and then wheeled throughout the medical facility, and having x-rays taken. They finally come back and they say, okay, we do need to give you stitches on your leg. This right here is broken. And of course they give me the old x-rays kind of as a souvenir. And luckily enough, my hospital bill was less than $150. Kind of makes you wonder about the whole healthcare system. Oh, okay, let's not get political. It was less than $150, very thankfully. And very thankfully, they were able to take me to a nearby town called Candidasa, where we were all able to get, also for a very reasonable price, a last-minute hotel stay. And of course, I talked to these guys afterwards, and you guys really did not have to do this. And that's when they came out and they said, well, here on Bali, we're Hindu, we believe in karma. That, if you do, what needs to be done to help somebody else out in need, that's going to come back to you. And at that point, this felt like it was part of the adventure again. Even though it was a scar that I would never physically heal from, That just hit me right there. What is the moral of the story from all of this? Well, if you go anywhere in Southeast Asia, the biggest piece of advice I can give you is if you do not already know how to ride one of those motorbikes, it's not the best idea. Yes, it can be fun. Yes, you can feel like you're blending in with the locals. Yes, you can feel like you are, conquering the world, for lack of a better term. I mean, no experience made me feel like somebody who fits the blogger name Globe Whisperer than that. I get it. But the thing is, everything in Southeast Asia is so cheap that, I mean, you can hire people to do basically anything. There's tons of people lined up in Kuta and Ubud that are willing to give you custom tours and things along those lines. You don't need to rent scooters on account of money. And I recommend against it. It's not safe. In fact, a lot of people say that, this kind of happens all the time, and these scars, they call them the Bali tattoo. Apparently a lot of people get hurt riding those things, and a fair number actually die. That's my advice. And quite honestly, that's not something that you actually need to be dealing with. More importantly, and it doesn't matter if you're doing this here at home or if you're doing this on the road, somewhere halfway across the world, whatever, wear a helmet. This is a situation where if I was not wearing a helmet, I would have brain damage as a best case scenario. I probably would have died. One of the things I remember was actually taking off my helmet and then actually kind of poking this little piece that was kind of loose. The plastic basically was broken. And I'm like, wow, I don't think I would have been alive if I was not wearing a helmet. That's the thing. I don't know why people feel the need to not wear one. They feel like they're badass. I mean, I get it. I've been down that road as well. But quite honestly, you never know when something's going to happen where it can be the difference between life and death. Very thankfully, the next day turned out actually to be quite good. We had actually, attempted to finish what we started. We didn't get to all the temples, but we did go back to Lempuyang, and I was able to climb pretty much the whole thing while having freaking scabs all up and down my leg and my back, and freaking dried up iodine over all my wounds, and basically a right hand that was wrapped up like Jason Pierre-Paul. And like I said, you can hire people to do pretty much anything for you. And right there in Kandidasa, which is not necessarily one of the bigger cities on Bali, somebody had agreed for, I think, less than 1 million rupiah to take us to basically Lempuyang and the Besaki Temple. And he also called up his friend who drove a pickup truck, and that would basically take me and my bike back to Kuta. I would like to personally, as I wrap this up, thank everybody involved. My travel companions for, being such sports about this thing, as well as the staff members at the Lempuyang Temple. I really, really, really hope that good karma finds you guys. Also, the people that I met in Kandidasa, just amazing. And don't let this scare you from visiting Bali, or anywhere in Indonesia for that matter. It is just as I had mentioned in my very first clip, it's a paradise on earth. And just because this happened doesn't mean I'm going to change my stance on it. I highly recommend going to Bali and probably seeing all of what we tried to see. And of course, not renting scooters. I just wish that, of course, this was right before I got the GoPro for Christmas. So, oh my gosh, if only I had been wearing that as a helmet cam when I had that accident, I would have been on Barstool within minutes and it would have just gone viral. But yes, thank you for watching. Make sure you check out my other videos because they're all about much happier times than this. And if you like those videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button and of course, follow me on all the other platforms. Until then, stay safe. Thank you for watching. Travel on, my friends.